Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. My name is Lewis Ridley and I'm here to talk about a few things linguistics and a few stories that I've got. It's story time with Lewis. I'm bored and I wanted to get in front of the camera and share a few things. So for those that don't know, I hold a linguistic degree, Bachelor of Arts in Linguistics and Japanese. It was a 3-year program at the University of Adelaide, and I'm currently in 6 more months left of my Masters of Speech Pathology, which I believe is the modern day linguist job and occupation where we can study, help others, and bring more fruit and beneficialness to society. And yes, my type of linguistics is descriptive linguistics, meaning that I don't tell people in the comments how to speak. I just describe why. And I believe that is the best way to approach this world because we all know there is the great vowel shift, semantic change all the time. Words change, life change, culture, impact, new words, skibbity toilet, who would have thought? So yeah, I'm here to describe and analyze. I'm more of a theoretical linguist, or I love talking about the theory as well as the practical. Yeah, I don't want to lead you down a dark path, but that's a little bit about me. And I just wanted to share an idea that was quite fascinating to me, and I really want to share everyone that too. And basically, it's the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis in conjunction with a few other things. And I just want to postulate a conversation with you guys because I've got like 10 subscribers right now, and I just want to get a conversation going. Maybe I'll start a Discord, and I just want to build a linguistic community and just get some more thoughts because I'm still learning on my kind of researcher idea. So basically, the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, is a hypothesis in which that the language you speak dictates whether you think. Now, to make it more layman, there's a movie called The Arrival, which is one of my favorite movies, where linguists are on an assignment to kind of figure out what these aliens are saying and why they're here. They seem to have this supernatural ability to defy gravity, and we don't know what they are or who they are. And they basically speak a language that is out of this world. It doesn't fit under the IPA, which I can put up, which is the International Phonetic Alphabet, where this all the possible sounds in which vocal folds and lips, can make. So it completely defied that, and it was these linguists' job to interpret and translate this language, these glyphs or hieroglyphs or graphemes or unique omnidirectional circles which conveyed ideas where the sentence ended and started at the same time. It started from the center. It was like a unique idea. And it turns out, no spoilers if you haven't seen it, that language, the more you learned it, the more you could see time and see the future. And or see the past. You can kind of see into the future, which is kind of a crazy idea. Now, many people have debated in real life that this hypothesis that the language you speak dictates whether you think is dismissed. Because straight away, my brain goes, well, if the languages you speak dictates whether you think, you could argue that this language that you speak is either inferior or superior. Because let's say there's a language out there that increases problem solving. It uses kind of more complex ways of thinking in which your brain is wired to see the world in a different way. Therefore, it's superior by nature. Now, how can you define superior? Exactly. It's all relative, where some languages have that, which is what I'm going to argue today. Now, off the top of my head, I cannot remember, but I'm pretty sure there was an Aboriginal Australian Indigenous group in Perth. I'm pretty sure it's Perth, but I'll put it up just to fact check. In which they gave this test. So if I gave you 3 cards, okay, and I'm going to put them up on the screen and kind of have them in a different order, it's kind of a languageless understanding task. So you'd have an egg, or like the quote unquote first stage, and then you'd have like an adolescent chick, and then you'd have a rooster. And look at me kind of foreshadowing here. So I give you these 3 cards in no particular order, or you could, just for simplistic sake, it could be 5 of them, but there was a sequence, and you'd give them to people, and you just put them on a table or on the floor and say, can you orientate them from beginning to end? Okay, so if I gave them to you, visualize as a table in front of you, how would you lay them out? Well, for me, personally, I would lay them out from left with the egg, and then I'd go the adolescent chicken, and then I'd go the adult chicken, left to right. Now the question is, why? And did you do the same? Let me know in the comments what you did, because I'm interested to know. Well, the theory or the idea is that we learn to write from left to right. Okay, so we organize things. And I worked at a sports store and I used to kind of organize the weights from left to right as I was looking at them to kind of mimic this kind of ingrained idea that I write from left to right. And the question is, what about an Arabic speaker? How would they align it? Well, turns out the train of thought continues. They go from right to left, or anyone that has the script from right to left. So they do it the opposite to English speakers or myself, which is quite fascinating. Side note is that we have the reason they was right to left is because apparently most people are right-handed, right? And when they chiseled on stone, they actually went from right to left because they hold the chisel with their left hand and they hammer with their right hand, and they go right to left, because if you can't go left to right like this unless you're left-handed, and most people are right-handed, so they could chisel in the way in which they write, which is still a tradition today with the pen and paper. And I'm not sure if this is a folk etymology or a false origin of the idea, but Chinese is argued to be the same because their paper was bamboo, and bamboo is tall and straight, and when you split it open, you can write down. So yes, with this chicken and egg, this isn't words, this is ideas, concepts, or prototypes in their brain. Everyone identifies the aging progression. It's kind of like ingrained in who we are as humans. People that wrote left to right, left to right. People who wrote right to left, top to bottom. Same thing, egg at the start, boom, boom, in Chinese people. Fascinating, right? Now, back to that tribe in Perth. Now, these people, they don't have words for left, right, up, or down. Fascinating. So there was a linguist that thought, interesting. They don't have words for this. I wonder how they would orientate objects. Now you might be asking, Lewis, how is that possible? They have to have some sort of directional language to describe the environment around them, right? Well, they did. They used north, south, east, west to translate into English, which is fascinating. So they did it in a few groups, orientated them in different ways so that north was in a different location for them. And lo and behold, they organized the egg to the chicken from north to south, regardless of where they were seated. Fascinating. It's almost like they would think in conjunction with the way that they would write, which is so fascinating. And their awareness of the environment was like amazing. They knew where north, south, east, west, just from walking outside, walking inside. Their memory and their bearings of orienteering was just next level. Isn't that fascinating? So it seems that despite there being a lot of wrestles between the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, that there might be some truth into the way that we think when we learn other languages. So I think there is some truth to that hypothesis that the language you do speak dictates the way that you think. So I encourage you guys, learn a language, learn the rules and the linguistic understanding behind it, kind of delve deep into the psycholinguistics and how people think and why they say what they say, and culture, and then you're going down a rabbit hole of dialect and idiolect and all these other sociolects and all these other ways that people can kind of infer and communicate with metaphor, and it's very, very interesting. One more thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about this idea that I wanted to write a paper on, but I thought I'd just share it with you guys because you guys might have a better idea. The language you speak dictates whether you think. Okay. But how about the syntax of your mother tongue dictates the way that you problem solve? Now, that would be the title of my paper if I wrote one. And you hear me out. In Japanese, we have a subject, object, verb order, meaning I basketball play. Okay. And in English, we say I play basketball. All right. Now, that's pretty simple. But when it comes to like long clauses, relative clauses, kind of inferent and like interesting kind of ideas, it gets really, really difficult to kind of conjure up the translation in your brain. Because, for example, when I learnt Chinese, I can say, 我喜欢你, I like you, literally. I'm like just memorizing Chinese nouns and then just using English grammar. Easy done. Like 我喜欢你因为你是中国人. I like you because you're Chinese. Well, I just made that up because I know the words and I can just build the sentence because I know the rules. Japanese, it's backwards. It's different. I've got to put the verb at the end, and then when I want to say multiple verbs, and then I want to have adverbs, and then I want to have all this stuff. It took me so long to understand. My point is, the language you speak, syntax you speak, so the word order you speak of your mother tongue dictates whether you problem solve. Look, when I want to translate, I did translation theory at uni, and for example, if I said, is it naguta? I think in Japanese it's naguta, which means to punch or to strike. Okay, so let's put a pin in that. When I'm translating in the idea, for example, did you hear? Lewis punched Stephen. You had to translate the idea that Stephen was at the end and you were on the edge of your seat trying to figure out who Lewis punched. Okay? Whereas in Japanese, it would be Rue-san wa Stephen o nagutta. Where naguta is punched and it's the end of the sentence. So when I'm translating this in a TV show, it's almost like the punchline or the head or the main idea that I'm trying to deliver as a speaker is completely backwards. There seems to be this completely different way of conveying ideas. So if I wanted to translate, like, who did Lewis punch? You'd have to kind of figure out this kind of way and say punched first, and then it kind of gets confusing because the way that you express it's different. That blows my mind. So sometimes when I watch anime or Japanese content, I would be able to spoil kind of ideas based on the syntax of the sentence because the sentence kind of comes before and then you're like, what the heck? And then I heard that before the climax because the guy was pausing because he was so shocked to tell who he punched when who he punched was at the start of the sentence but punch was at the end. Does that make sense? That blows my mind. I just don't like, and forgive me if my Japanese was wrong, but that's the idea. It'll be Lewis, Stephen, who punched or punched. And then in English, it would be Lewis punched, and you're like, who? So one language, you're on the edge of the seat for who he punched, and in the same sentence, you're on the end of the sentence of what he did to Stephen. That blows my mind, guys. So who knows what that means and what implication that has. But isn't that fascinating that language kind of changes that much? It's not just some direct translation or expression of ideas. So the next time you talk to someone, understand that what they're delivering in their brain and how they speak to you can be so different depending on the language that they speak. And I wonder if that infers the problem solving, because English, we're so subject dependent. It's all about me, or it's all about who, all about them. Whereas in Japanese, it's all about what they did in the context of syntax and semantics, but syntax. Crazy, right? If you have any questions about that, please pop them down below. I'm so fascinated to hear what you guys think about this idea of syntax and stuff. I'm really new to the video stuff, so sorry if I'm like all jambled, but I just wanted to get some content out there and discuss with you guys. But thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate you guys. And let's get this conversation going. Like, I want this to be a community of fun ideas and brainstorming stuff. So comment down below and subscribe. Like I said, I'm not here for the subscribers. I'm here for the knowledge and understanding. Anyway, love you 10 people that subscribe to me, and I'll see you guys next time.